those guys, or one guy and one gal, sometimes we have unconscious competence and we're leaving something out without knowing it.
Right.
So, I might say, let's just back up a little bit here. And, for some of the newer people, I know this guy, Andy, I said, I know what you're doing, Andy. But I don't know that the people that are brand new are just really getting ready to get going in their business now. So I might ask you to rephrase something or explain it in a little more detail, but I'm just going to, pretty much you're going to run it uninterrupted. But anytime you want some feedback, I'm paying attention. So okay. I'll help you if you want.
The other question I have is, like, when people are, I'm assuming people have outlines that they're following or notes or whatever.
Yeah, like Andy worked off PowerPoint and shared it on his screen. Roger worked off a whiteboard and he had the notes, taped to his computer. Other people have just held them up and say, I've written this down so I don't leave anything out. Whatever you're comfortable with, because I want people to see that you're people, and whatever you need for an aid, it's perfectly okay. It's, Mike today looked down 5 or 6 times, and he went one time, he said, no, if you see me looking down here, he said, it's because I'm a professional. And even though I know this stuff cold, I make sure that I cover every point, because sometimes when you're explaining things to people, you can get off track a little bit and forget one of the key points, and we don't want to do that. Whatever you're comfortable with. People have papers ruffling in the background, and it adds that human thing to it versus like this. This thing is sort of the anti-summits and big events, and not that I have anything against them, but this is a chance for someone like you to really get into the meat, not be rushed by a clock in front of you. The speaker before you was a little long. They ask you to shorten it up, and it's jammed. And we're not doing that. That's really what I wanted to bring here. And that meant also that people are just themselves. I can't take my eyes off your hair. You look spectacular.
Thank you.
It's really, you look
say it was the teeth.
Yeah. Well, your smile's vibrant. There's no question about it. But I'll tell you, network marketing doesn't work out. Head to Hollywood, right? I'm telling you. You look sensational.
I now know why you keep this guy around.
Yeah. No, you got your eyes are you're glistening. It's fantastic. Okay, so we're ready to go?
We're ready.
Okay. So aloha, everyone. You good, Dave? You got recording going? Yeah, okay. Hey, aloha, everybody, and welcome to this segment of the Recruiting and Duplicating Mastery. And this is really a thrill for me today because of the circumstances that I actually met Ann Feinstein under, which is really great. I had heard about Ann. Most people have. I mean, everybody knows she's built huge groups domestically, internationally, and she was embarrassed to tell me that her group was only 80,000 people. She doesn't like to talk about that. She doesn't like to talk about money, and you'll discover why. But this is a multiple million-dollar earner with over 30 years of experience, and in 30 years, there have been a few curveballs, but she has what successful people have, and that is they win some or they learn some, and she continues learning. So I went through Think and Grow Rich with Ann and about 100 other people, and what I thought was remarkable was Ann, in all the time I've been teaching Think and Grow Rich, which, by the way, is included in the bonus material, all the time that I've been teaching Think and Grow Rich to people, which is an exercise, not a book. Never, ever have I seen anybody dig in so deeply. So here's the top earner by a huge margin in the class, working harder on herself than anybody else. That inspired me. And in this course, she came up with an acronym for HOPE, which is Help Other People Evolve. And it was like, oh, I wish I had thought of that. But I use it all the time now and give Ann credit for it, because that's really what we're doing in network marketing. And a 30-year track record of success doesn't happen because you're about the money. It happens because you're about the people. So it's fantastic to have Ann here, and what she's going to talk about is leverage. And I think I was so excited when you brought that up, Ann, on the call. So tell us about leverage, because here's what I know about it, right? This is what I've noticed over the years. Not all successful network marketers are great presenters. They're not all great teachers. They're not all great coaches. They're not all great prospectors. They're not all great presenters. The one thing that they're all great at is leverage. So we're really looking forward to, how do you teach new people leverage? What is it and how do you teach it? So your floor, giddy up.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your warm and really heartfelt comments and introduction, because like you said, 30 years ago, we all started somewhere, and 30 years ago, one of the key things that I remember was a very special mentor of mine said something to me one day as I was sitting in my cubicle in a 40-story office building in Manhattan, feeling like a prisoner, okay, a corporate prisoner. And he was very entrepreneurial, and he was a very sharp guy, and was somebody I had great respect for. And we were sitting there talking one day, and he said to me, "Ann, the only security you'll ever have in life is what you create for yourself." Now, I'm sitting there in this cubicle as director of research for a consulting firm, and I'm thinking about working the 60 to 70 hours a week. So when you hear that in network marketing, I was one of those people. And I'm sitting there thinking about the glass ceiling, because I was paid probably at the top at that point of my pay scale. And I had earned the 3 weeks of vacation. So there we were, again at the top. And I was looking at my husband, who was a business manager, an accountant. He owned his own accounting practice. So on the other end, somebody that was an owner of his own business, he had 13 people he was responsible for, and unbelievable overhead. So you can imagine when I started thinking, well, what is it that I really want to do? What is it that I want to do for the next part of my life? Because at that point I was 34, so do the math. My husband was 44, do the math. We're talking 30 years ago. And we're looking at each other, and I said, if I could find something where I could be where I want to be, and that was out at our little farm out in New Jersey, and not have to deal with the commute in Manhattan and the craziness and the stresses and the 60 to 70 hour work week. And I could be out with grass and trees, similar to your story, wanting to be out in Hawaii, okay, and to make that transition. Our stories were very similar. So I started looking at different opportunities, and what I found were pizza parlors out there and video stores. And I thought, that is not an option, okay? That is not something that I want to do professionally for the rest of my life. So when somebody explained to me and shared with me at an event that I had gone to, which was, again, something out of the ordinary. I took a week of vacation, and I went out to spend a week with a millionaire and to learn entrepreneurial skills. It was something that I felt that I could get better exposure. I could get a better insight. I could be exposed to new ideas, new thoughts. And I took the course. And in the middle of this, I'm sitting next to a guy, and he starts to explain to me about the concept of leverage, about network marketing, about being able to build something, on a never-ending, expanding network of people who are excited about a product, that have similar interests, that you get paid on the efforts of everyone that you bring into your business. And I looked at him and I thought, oh my gosh, that's a model that I personally could get excited about. And as it turned out, I did end up joining him in the business because I fell in love with the product and I fell in love with the company and all that good stuff. But it opened my eyes to what leverage meant, and to what the opportunity could mean, that it wasn't just my time. It wasn't just my efforts. It wasn't just me sitting in a 60 to 70 hours a week in a 40-story office building dreaming for the weekends. It was the classic story two-income couple looking for an opportunity and a business model that we could get behind. So I saw this opportunity. For me, leverage was the key. Now, 30 years later, okay, we're looking back at where we were when we first started, but I've also surrounded myself with a lot of top level producers because we have a mastermind of activities. So I went to these mastermind friends of mine and I said, how do you see leverage? Because I know how I see leverage. How do you see leverage? What do you see? How do you see it? How do you define it? And how do you apply it? And so I spoke to a couple of them, and it was interesting because, as you'll hear, one of them said, it's all about breaking the trap of trading hours for currency by attracting a large group of people who are willing to do a few simple things consistently over a given period of time. Now, that's the way I saw leverage right from the very beginning, okay, is that, again, you're doing something, you're introducing it to people, you're showing them a system, you're doing it over and over and over and over again over a consistent period of time. Another friend of mine pointed out that he prefers 1% of the efforts of 100 people, okay, over 100% of his own efforts alone. And so, again, that rang for me as I was starting and I was looking at this. And he went on to say that he explains leverage by looking at it this way. He asks people, how many hours a day do you work? And he usually hears back, 8, 9, 10 hours, because my job is a real drag. And then he responds, I work 2,000 hours a day. And of course, he gets the guy looking at him going, what? How is that possible? And he says, yes, because I have a team. And I have to add up all those hours, okay, because they're an extension of me, because we all work together. So if I want to take a day off, I still have 1,999 hours because I have a team. So that was an interesting concept in terms of how to look at leverage. I mean, looking at building a team of like-minded people who are willing to do a few simple things over a consistent period of time. Another one of my friends said, leverage is the only way I build. I use other people's stories, their testimonials, to create stories of my own and stories for my team. He says, I maximize other people's strengths rather than focusing on their weaknesses through the power of leverage. And I like that because, as you said, we only have a certain number, we only have our own hours, we only have our own time, we only have our own experience. Maximizing other people's stories, other people's talents, other people's strengths is an incredible way to be able to build something bigger than yourself. And then he went on to say, this allows me to leverage other people's talents and to create an all-star team where people can focus solely on their strengths. He said, as an example, you pair a great recruiter with a great trainer, or a great trainer with a great person who knows how to close a meeting, with someone that masters home parties, and so on and so on and so on. So he loves the idea of taking all these great talents that come together, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, but the talent pool out there is huge beyond ourselves and what we have and what we can possibly present. So we look at it from that point of view. So now we have the time issue overcome, we have the number of hours overcome, we have the strengths and talents of other people. And then we have another friend who said, leverage to me is teamwork. You don't do everything yourself. As a team, we all work together towards a common goal and vision. The benefit this means is that as your business grows, it keeps on working when you're asleep. And then I loved how he ended this. He said, every night I go to bed, I make $1,000 every night while I'm sleeping. And I said to him he was a liar because I knew that he was making another $1,000 during the day. He said to me, that is leverage, okay? Being able to build something sustainable and having it grow and having this incredible opportunity to be able to take those non-productive hours and create something magical. So the question is, so how do you build leverage? How do you actually build it? How do you get out of trading the time for currency. So what are the tools? And I think this is important, and this is part of the outline and the action guide that I put together for people. So if you haven't downloaded that, you may want to take that out. The reason for that is that we're going to be talking about 5 or so different points here. And the first is, as I mentioned, it's other people's time. Okay, that is a huge way to build leverage. And if you have, like we tell most people, 10 to 15 hours a week. When I first started the business, that's all I had was 10 to 15 hours a week. I was working 60 to 70 hours doing my job. I had evenings, I had weekends. So I had to take that and put it into really productive things, revenue producing activities. And so the other point that I'm going to make is that if you have 10 to 15 hours a week and you have 100 people, okay, in your business, then like my friend, you're going to have 1,000 to 1,500 hours collectively. Now, that's really a huge, huge business. It changes everything. It's not just my 60 to 70 hours, okay, and if I, can't work or I have something come up, then that becomes non-productive. But everyone that comes into the business has to put aside that time. It's just, it's not something that you can even negotiate. It's a non-negotiable. When people come into the business, they have to know this is network marketing, okay? Network marketing. This is not sit on the sofa, watch TV marketing. This is not, sit back and wait to become rich marketing. This is not net lottery marketing. This is network marketing. So I will tell you that 20%, what I've seen of my total business, okay, will be produced, 20% of the people in my business will produce 80% of what happens. So where do you focus your time? You focus on the 20% that deserve it. Now, that means who is actually taking action? What are they doing? Are they doing revenue producing activities? Okay, meaning, are they either building and working a candidate list? Number 2, are they inviting? Are they presenting? Or are they following up? It's those 4 key activities. And so this is what we find when we first start with working with someone is we want to teach them those skills. We want them to learn how to build and work a candidate list. And I have to say that one of the most important things we can do is sit down with that person and help them build that list. Because if you just tell somebody, go put your list together, I guarantee you they're going to come up with the 10 people that come off the top of their head. They're not going to be sitting there like I would have done, like I did. I dug through every list I had. I sat down, and again, 30 years ago, didn't have a cell phone, but I sat down, I looked at every time I put a list together, whether it was for a wedding, whether it was for a party, whether it was for a Christmas list, I put that list together. And therefore, now today, we have so much access, okay? And everyone has everything right here, or they have it on their computer. And so if we don't sit down and help them draw it out, and we don't sit down and help them with overcoming what I call the chicken list, okay, which people talk about all the time. It's that guy you think about, I could have been on somebody's chicken list because, I was working in Manhattan. I had a great job, director of research. Oh, her husband is successful. She wouldn't need this. Well, maybe I was on somebody's chicken list, but I was on somebody else's list and I got a phone call. So if we don't sit down and help that person make that list, okay, and make that a part of one of the first things that we do with them, so that they see that there's so many people out there. There's so many contacts that they have on a day-to-day basis, people that they know from the past, the community, people they went to school with. It could go on and on and on. And this is not a class on putting together a list. This is just the idea that leverage means posture in your list. If you have a big list, you have greater posture and you will have bigger leverage happening in your business. So the first is building the list, okay? And the list is never ending. I mean, my list never ends, okay? Today, as an example, sitting there talking with someone, the craziest thing is sitting there talking to someone, we had gone over to get some vaccinations for a trip that we're making internationally. And we're talking, and the gal says, of course, what do you do? Blah, 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 back and forth, da, da, da. It comes to that point, and I hand her my phone, and I said, here, put the information, your information into my mobile app and I'll send you some information. Boom, done. Now I have another added person to my list. So there's so many tools today to be able to create a massive list that when somebody says to you, oh, I only have 9 or 10 people, that's because you've thrown them out there into the deep end and you're not sitting down and helping them and work through it. Because keep in mind that a good person in your team will have well over 400 possible people for you to talk to. Now that's leverage. Those are 400 people that you didn't know before, okay? So the second thing is inviting. If we don't teach people how to invite and make it exciting and fun and what to invite to, that's the other thing. Are we inviting them to take a look at something? Are we inviting them to a home meeting? Are we inviting them to an event? You know, we have to teach them how to do those inviting so that they're excited about it. And they get excited about, you know, getting people to come, and they're talking about, you know, I have 3 people, I have 5 people. You know, you can have a little thing going on between a number of your new team members or in your team. We have this going on in our WhatsApp group. You know, we have an event coming up. We have a WhatsApp group. We have all of our leaders in there, all of our key people that are working the business. And we start a promotion. We go, okay, we have the Saturday event, or we have the big event coming up, or we have a convention. You know, who's got people coming? How many people do you have? And it just blows up in the WhatsApp group. So inviting is a very important thing, and it's got to be real and it's got to be authentic. You know, there's nothing worse than somebody taking somebody's script and saying something that doesn't sound like them. You know, hi, my name is, you know, and speaking to someone where they're going, what happened to my friend? You know, is he okay? What's wrong with you? You want to make it genuine. You want to talk about your excitement about this, because again, posture is leverage. The more people you talk to, the more people you invite, the more people you promote to, okay, this is where that key word is going to come into play. And then
let me ask you this. This is great. So you get a new rep in the business, and you're going to build the list with them. You're going to assist them with it, because we all know that they don't understand the business.
Right.
So they're trying to guess at who to put on the list rather than just putting everybody on the list.
Correct.
So she's taking care of that. And now you're teaching the invite thing. And of course, there's a couple of guidelines in inviting people that we want to convey to them. But I really love what you said about them being themselves.
Yes.
Right. A big breakthrough for me was I was having trouble. This was early on. And anyway, so my upline said to me, well, what'd you do today? What would you do today? And I said, I'm just coming from the mall. What'd you do at the mall? I bought a Van Morrison CD, Greatest Hits. Do you like it? And I told him all about it, right? What I liked about it, the order of the songs. He said, that's how you invite somebody. You know, he said, I want to go buy the CD now because the way you told me about it.
Right.
So how do you go about coaching people to do that? Because they're a little nervous. Do you get on the phone with them a little bit, or do they do the inviting on their own? How do you teach someone to invite and yet retain their own persona in that invitation?
Well, I do 2 things. Number 1, I will get on a phone call with them. Okay. And we'll do a 2-prong invitation where they're talking to their friend, they introduce me, and then especially if I'm going to be at that event, I want to invite them to come. Or if we're talking back and forth and they're at a distance, then I'm going to suggest that we're going to send you a video to take a look at. It's really cool. We sent right through your mobile app, our mobile app, to you. And I'll say to them, you know, we're talking about 5-minute video. You'll get a better overview watching the 5 minutes than for us to sit here for an hour and talk about it. So they see the benefit of, number 1, there's a support structure there with me. There's a support structure in the tools that we have. We're always talking about, you know, the benefit to that particular person, whether it's that person knows that they're interested in weight management, or that person knows that they're interested in health issues, or whatever the benefit is to that person. If it's about specifically they know this person and they know that there's something financially or their job or whatever, obviously that's going to come into play, and we're just going to relate it to us and relate it to them. So the invitation, you know, as much as people say, well, what's a script? You know, if you go by an outline, a general outline, yes, that can be very helpful to people to get a sense. But then I say to them, then you got to come to a point where it's you talking to your friend. It's you inviting your friend to take a look at something that you're excited about. In the same way that your friend talked about, you know, the Van Morris audio. You're talking about a video. You're talking about going to a movie. You're talking about going to a great restaurant. You know, how you were excited about it? It's the same energy. So inviting is really an important aspect to leverage, because if the person feels sometimes I'll tell someone, stand up and jump up and down because your energy sounds like you're ready to die. They're so nervous, you know, that they're sitting there shaking, and you hear them say, hi, hi, how are you? You stand up, jump up and down, and then you can change their state. You know, as Tony Robbins says, change the state so that they have the right energy. This is your friend you're talking to. You know, like I'm talking to you right now. You're my friend. So if I'm talking to you and telling you something exciting that's going on about what I'm doing, it's because we're sharing something that's in common. Okay. And people feel that. They feel the authenticity. So that's the way that I look at inviting. And then as far as events go, like inviting to an event, I always believe that person is inviting people to come to their home. I always believe it would be great for the person who's going to be there, if an upline is going to be there, to do a three-way call and say, I'm so looking forward to meeting you, you know, Tuesday night at Bob's house. Because that way they know, oh, well, somebody else is expecting me. You know what? Could you come a few minutes early? Could you come at, let's say, 7, you know, 6:45? We're starting at 7 because I'd really like to spend some time and get to know you. So now they have that, okay, that they're thinking about. It's not just they're coming to their friend's house. They're coming to meet someone who's looking forward to meeting them. And today, with all of these tools that we have, it's so easy just to shoot somebody a reminder, you know, reminding someone that there's an event. We have that in our mobile app, so we can shoot somebody a reminder about the event. You can also just text them. Hey, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight, you know, at 6:45 over at Bob's house. You know, make sure you're there early because I really want to spend some time together. So inviting to is an important revenue-producing activity. In the same way,
I think one of the things that I just want to touch on for a second that you pointed out when we were working together in the Go 90 Grow course, one of the things that you pointed out was like, what's this, rocket science? The prospect is going to contact their friend, right? So you make the three-way call, they're going to contact their friend. And so you said, I remember you saying, it's not rocket science. The prospect is going to say, hey, why'd you call me with that girl? Or, hey, what's the story with that lady you called me with? And they say, oh, yeah, she's helping me.
sure.
Because what Ann pointed out to the class, and it's so brilliant, is that the reluctance or trust is going to go one way or the other. The reluctance is going to go up or the trust is going to go up, and people don't want to fail. You said that point blank in the class. People don't want to fail, so when you call with your new people and their friend calls them back and say, oh, yeah, they're great. They're helping me every step of the way. They're already 90% in before they get to the meeting. This is a great insight that you shared. Okay, so I took you a little off track. So
No, not at all. I think it was a good point that you brought up, because you know what? You're right. They're going to call back and say, who is this Ann Feinstein that you got me on the phone with? You know, and it could feel like, you know, what was that about? Because it's never happened before.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, if it's done properly, even from the beginning, I'm here on the phone with Ann Feinstein. She's helping me with the business. You know, it might be, you know, a nice introduction. I really wanted you to get a chance to meet her. I mentioned, you know, I was starting a business, and this is one of the people that I'm working with. So, you know, it can be very, very informal. Keep it authentic. The real issue here is authenticity. Okay, so your friend doesn't think, you know, all this is all weird stuff. It's a really, as you would have another friend help you do something or do anything in your life. When we're talking about presenting, and I think this is a very key factor for leverage, and that is, why would you present only in your home to one person? Doesn't make sense. Okay, leverage yourself, and I'll expand on that. Not only invite people, like for instance, if I'm going to do a meeting here, and I've done that where I have invited my guests, and then I have invited some of my local leaders, and I say local because they can be anywhere within a 3-hour radius, to drive in, to bring some of their people with them. So now what we have here is a home meeting that not only has the new people sitting there, okay, it also is a training opportunity because they're now coming with people. Now I have multiple lines there. And the great thing is that it's not only Ann Feinstein's word as to why this is such a great opportunity or great product, because you've got this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one sitting there. So I'll give you a very funny story. When I had my upline coming to my house, okay, recently, who said to me, just like we would say to someone else, next week, what's better for you, Tuesday or Wednesday? I'm coming to your house to do a home meeting. Okay, actually, I think he gave me 2 weeks. Okay, that sounds great. Because again, he's coming to my house. And I called everyone. We were just starting up this new situation here. I called everyone, and I called my brother who was using the products, and I said, you have to be at my house. You love me? You better be at my house. So my brother says, well, okay, what time does it start? Because, you know, he's basically a consumer. What time does it start? I said, it started at 7 o'clock. What time is it going to be over? 7:45, you'll be out the door. He comes to the house. Of course, he shows up at 7 o'clock because that's the way he is with his work schedule and finishing up. At 7:45, we finished the meeting, and I'm turning around to enroll someone, okay, who has to leave real quick. And I turn around, and there I see him sitting on the sofa, okay, talking to my upline sponsor with 3 other people that he heard stories of. And during that meeting, he gave a testimonial that blew the entire place crazy. Okay, he sat there, and to the point where I'm like, I couldn't even believe this was my brother. Because this was someone who, you know, just, I'm using the products. Nobody should know about it. Like he's doing it as a Secret Service agent. And he was so excited in the environment. So presenting can be a huge leveraged opportunity, whether it's in your home, and we're going to talk about the opportunities that happen in events in a minute. But it's an incredible place for building belief and leverage. And the fourth is follow-up. Okay, this is a fourth skill here. Because follow-up is the gold everybody talks about. The gold is in the follow-up, and the leverage is in the follow-up. Because people, when you're talking to people, and I always believe in setting up the next meeting. You set up the next meeting after that meeting, the next call after the next call. You know, people always smile and say, especially if they're new to network marketing, you can't get off a call or a meeting with Ann without having another meeting set up or another call. Because to me, that's leverage. And why is it leverage? Because I don't want to chase people. Do you want to chase people? I don't want to chase people. I don't want to try to play phone tag. I don't believe in, oh, well, I'll give you a call next week. Okay, that's fine if I'm going to have lunch with a friend. But, you know, chances are we're going to set a time. So follow-up has to be a process that you think about, that you leave every situation, and that was something I learned early on. Never leave a phone call without setting up the next call. Never leave a meeting without setting up the next meeting. And that's where the follow-up is, because most people will say to you, wow, you're the first person that really followed through. Followed through. You're a real person, and you followed through, and you appeared really interested in me. Because, you know, most people may be throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks. And I'll tell you honestly, this is a people business. Of course you want to follow up. They took some samples, or they had, you know, a video, or they look some additional collateral material to look over, whatever. I'll give you a call tomorrow. What time works for you? 10 or 11? All of our people in our team know that. I'm always going to give them an option. Morning or afternoon, and then another option. Is it 10 or 11? Or is it in the afternoon? I give them another time, because this is how you take your time and leverage it. Now, so we're talking about other people's time. Other people's money. This is another thing. How most people say, well, I really don't have money. And I say, well, here we're using other people's money. It's not just your money. The leverage comes from your buying power is much bigger than just you. Your buying power is coming up from a combination of you, your preferred customers, your personal customers that you deliver to, because we all have those friends that just want to buy directly from us. They want to give us cash. And then the team builders. So now, okay, if you look at a multi-million-dollar business, is not because one person has $1 million to spend. It's because many, 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 many people. Okay, that's leveraging other people's money. And in today's world, in today's economy, and in today's global economy, that's an unbelievable opportunity for the average person to build a business from their home with other people's money. Seriously. And today, with all the opportunities we have with PayPal and back office things, majorly sophisticated back office ways of paying for things. Sometimes companies have local places where people can go and actually buy products and pick up products in different international markets. But your buying power becomes much bigger. So when someone says, and again, they may say to you, this might be one of the excuses they use, I don't have any money. Really? You want the business? Are you serious about wanting the business? Well, you know what? Either A, you can borrow it from someone and go to work, or B, you can start to build a customer base and start to build your volume through customers, because today we have to have a strong customer base. We have to have a sustainable, strong customer base. People have to know about our products today with all the regulatory issues that are out there. We have to have that. It has to be a focus. In the old days, Mark, you'll remember, it was about recruit. Okay, and all we were recruiting. And the thought process was everybody in the downline is using the products. Today, okay, most sophisticated companies have a really wonderful preferred customer program. And the more that we balance ourselves between, yes, we want to look for people who want to do the business, but we also need a strong customer base of people who just flat out love the products.
Well, I think what's really interesting with all your success in 30 years, what's so gratifying is you're focused on the customer, which is really essential in leverage. I mean, it took people like you teaching me, listen, you Polak guinea that I am, said, listen, you don't get paid on distributors, you get paid on volume. And it was like, oh yeah, imagine everybody had 2 customers. Where would your paycheck be? I said, it would be double. Go to work. Like you said, it's not net wish marketing or net lottery. I love the net lottery marketing. It's network marketing. And that's actually how I ferreted Davine out of my organization. Was I saw that she had about 7 or 8 people in her group, but the minimum was $100 a month on auto ship, and they were all doing 500, 600, 700. Mm-hmm. And it finally got through my head, how's she doing that? Customers. And I think it's such an undervalued thing. If people really love the product, why wouldn't they want to go get a couple of customers a month? At the end of the year, you got 24 customers times, let's say your example of 100 reps, that's 2,400 customers. That's a lot more volume than those 100 distributors are going to put in just on their own use of the product. So great point about customers. Great point.
And I think that when people understand that their buying power is a combination of everything, then all of a sudden that excuse of money falls away. Okay, it's not an issue anymore. When you're looking to build leverage and you're serious about building a business, then let's find a way, a solution around. The whole idea, as a very good friend of mine early on, another great mentor said, business is not just about making money. Business is about finding solutions. So in today's world, there's so many options, okay, to be able to help people to overcome what they see as, quote, the obstacles. And that leads me to number 3, and that is, again, part of the leverage is your company and your product story. Okay, to me, it has to be about your product and your company story that you share, and the products that you share has to be focused on the person you're talking to. What is the benefit to them? Okay, because the minute that we make it about us and about, the amazing this, that, or the other, you start to see people's eyes glazed over. And again, I learned that early on because I did a really good job of glazing over some eyes. First meeting I was so boring. I remember back that I couldn't wait till I shut up and sat down, because I came from an environment where, we wanted to talk about being the best because we were out there selling our service and being the best. Whereas in this business, it's about serving the person who's sitting in front of us. So it starts with us and our posture of believing that what we have is the best out there. And then how our story and our posture can serve them. Because people today are going to bed and they're praying for either a health solution, a financial solution, or some solution. And they're praying that somebody will show them the way. Because everybody's running and they're looking for, they don't have time and they're running and this one, and all of a sudden you sit them down and say, listen, I have a solution for you that will give you this benefit, or will give you this solution to what the problems are that you're facing in this area. But you have to have that unbelievable belief that this what you're offering them, your posture, okay, has to be able to be transmitted to them so that they see the solution for themselves. And the only way that you're going to stay focused, honestly, is if you plug in. Okay, because that's the other thing I talk about here is third-party tools, being plugged into the system. If you're not plugged into the system, I will tell you that, or you're trying to reinvent the wheel. That's the other person I love. Well, what if we did it this way? Well, have you tried it the way we're laying it out first? Okay, give that a try. Because we've set up a system, as most leaders do in the company. They've set a system, they've created amazing tools, and the company's created amazing tools. And I want our team, next day that a person joins, or that night a person joins, to be the messenger, to be able to deliver a message, to be a tour guide, okay, to be somebody who's promoting something, not the explainer, okay, and not the message. Because if we're the message, somebody's going to see us versus seeing what we're offering them. And that's one of the biggest drawbacks that new people have, is that they want to explain everything, or they're not going to start until they can explain everything. It's like one or the other. And I say to them, you don't need to do that. We have tools. You have a support structure here. We've got, whether it's videos, audios today, my goodness. I mean, I think back to when we started, we had a cassette tape. One. That was it. I played it so over and over again that it was like the movie, that I could literally repeat the words over and over and over again. But every time I watched it like it was brand new. And it was so exciting. But sending something to someone who was cross town, no, we didn't have that. Today we do. We can shoot messages over to people. We have mobile apps. We have personal websites. We have all these incredible tools that we can deliver the message. We don't need to be the messenger, okay, or the message ourselves. We are the messenger. Sorry, I confused that. We don't have to be the explainer, okay? We can present somebody with something. And I always equate it to being a tour guide. You go from here to here to here to here. Okay, you just keep the person moving along in the system. And whether it's using the tools that we have, as I mentioned, or getting them into a team training site, or we do things here on Facebook Live. That was another new thing, okay, that certainly we didn't have way back. Facebook Live, it's a now situation where people can get on. You can, again, leverage your time, putting a message out to your team, or getting on if you've got a team leader that's leading these kind of events that are going on. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's nightly, sometimes it's, all these different opportunities for people to learn and to leverage your time. And the next one is other people's experience, other people's talents, other people's skills. So you don't have to be the fantastic presenter. Okay, if you're not comfortable doing that. The first time I did a Facebook, I told you, Facebook Live, my upline came to me and said, okay, you're on Thursday night. and with all the things I've done, platform speaking, and I have, you get accustomed to certain modalities. I had no problem. When I had to sit down in front of that little camera, okay, and talk, and only see people writing things in on the bottom, and realize that it was just head on me. As I mentioned to you, I sat there and they wanted me to do a test to make sure I knew how to use the system. I was so nervous. I grabbed one of my Yorkies and held her up like this and talked to her like I was, I had a puppet. I don't know if you remember Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop, but there we were, Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop, and I'm talking to her. Needless to say, of course, everyone knows that we have little Yorkies around here, so it became wildfire throughout the company that people were hysterical over. But I hadn't done that before.
Right.
But I was willing to try because I realized that today it's about leverage, about getting our message out there. It's about creating relationships. And if I can do that in something that's going to attract over 1,000 people sitting in their home in one 30-minute opportunity, and I can get all of our leaders and all of our team members to join us in that kind of an environment, get over it, is what I said to myself.
Yeah.
Okay. 3-way calls, we talked about that as being an incredible way for people to experience. You're talking to a nurse, you have a nurse on the phone. You're talking to a person with fitness interests, you have a fitness person on the phone. You have somebody who has a teaching background like I do when I first started in my career. Great. A corporate person, I'm there. Somebody who's owning their own business, David. So you utilize the backgrounds and the talents of other people, whether you have them on 3-way calls, the team trainings. And then this is another one that people ask me about all the time is, how did you build internationally? Okay, well, I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Portuguese. I don't speak Italian. I don't speak Thai. I don't speak Chinese. I don't speak Hebrew, a little bit. But I've had teams in those countries. And you say, well, how'd you do that? Because I found somebody who had the talent that I didn't have. They knew, as a matter of fact, the funny story was they would always say, after, giving a presentation and talk back and forth, train, transfer, translate. They would say, you know what? I think I can do it now faster. Boom. Okay, that's leverage. Because people now the idea is not to be the superhero, right? The idea is to move people and have them become independent leaders in your business. And then I would tell you the 6th thing, Mark, is ladder of escalation. And really, when we talk about events, we talk about that ladder of escalation because people start in the local markets, with where they're introducing their friend, they bring them to a home meeting, they may come to a local meeting. I have seen people go from, I hope this works, to totally transform their way of looking at the business because they've come into a larger environment. They see more people involved. I'll never forget my father walked into an event in a home meeting when we first got into network marketing. And I said, Dad, you have to come to this meeting. I want you to meet some of my friends. And he walks in and he looks around because he thought we were, off the wall crazy. And he sees, the head of the one of the synagogue activity groups that he was involved in. He sees another guy who's an accountant that he knows. He saw another person from another part of our community, and he's looking around and he's realizing, this is a cool, legitimate opportunity. It's the opportunity of people seeing other people. They can feel them, they can touch them, they can talk to them, they hear their stories. It helps to build that bulletproof posture that people need in order to do this business. Because for the most part, we're sitting at home. We're building from home. We're alone. Now we have these people around us. We go to an event. I'm going to an event in a week or so. We're expecting 10,000 people. If that doesn't blow somebody's mind, sitting in that event, okay, with 10,000 people saying, going from hope to belief, I don't know what would.
Yeah.
So the ladder of escalation goes from local to your regional to your national to those big global events that most companies are having either live or online. A lot of people are doing things now together online. So those are the key 6 points in terms of the tools. Mark, I have a few more comments if you have enough time.
Yeah, this is great. I just want to let everybody know that that document will be in the members area for those of you that decide to get permanent access, along with a transcript of what Ann is sharing with you. But that worksheet, it's really short. It's just a couple of pages, and you just fill it in and then follow the directions. It's really that simple. So I'd love to hear a couple more comments. Anytime with you is gold. So keep rolling. You're white hot and rolling here.
Well, thank you. You know, when we looked at the tools, then I always say, we always like to close our events with, what are the action plan? What's the action steps? You know, what is it that we need to do in order to create it? And so, you know, here looking at leverage, I say the first thing that people have to do is they have to dig deep, and they have to really make a strong commitment to themselves. They have to know why they're doing this. We say that all the time, the why, the why, the why. But I think sometimes it's too broad, it's too big, and they get too vague. So what I found is that what's worked for us is to break it into 3 parts. And the first is, what's your personal why? The second is, what's your financial why? And then in today's world, probably wouldn't have happened 30 years ago, but what's your global why? You know, and I sat down, you know, during some challenging moments, and this is what I did. I reevaluated my personal why, which to me has always been about freedom. It's the freedom to work with my husband to build our legacy, together, because we were going in opposite directions. He was traveling all over the world with music people, but to be able to come back together, to build our legacy together, to get past that 60 to 70 hour work week, commuting somewhere for somebody else ever again, and to be in my happy place, you know, and people know my happy place is here in my home with my husband, or traveling with David and our 5 little munchkins, our little dogs. I mean, that's my happy place. So I'm clear as to what is my why. And if you woke me up in the middle of the night, I'd be able to tell you that. The same thing financially. You have to determine what is it that's going to get you excited every day financially to go out there, because this is a building business. Okay, most people come out of an employment mentality and they get trading time for hours, and they trade time for hours for money. So therefore, we have to teach them that this is something they're going to build, and building leverage, eventually they will build residual income. So I remember a gentleman, this very grandfatherly type in the early days, and I remember him at an event, because I went to every event, I go to every event, and he's standing there in front of everyone, and a real nice, down-to-earth, authentic guy, and he looks out there and he goes, $20,000 a month sure helps to pay the bills. Now, David and I, Mr. and Mrs. Corporate America, are sitting there looking at this sweet grandfather and saying to ourselves, what? This guy is earning $20,000 a month? Of course, what you're thinking inside is, if he can do it, I can do it. And that became a mantra. $20,000 a month sure helps to pay the bills, even with the same accent. And here it is 30 years later, I say the same thing to people. Come up with your personal financial why, and then make a plan as to how you're going to achieve that. And again, that comes down to your comp plan. You'll sit down and figure it out. What level do you have to get to achieve that? And then break it down from there. The third thing is, for me, the global why was, I have to live with passion. And I know, you know, I'm crazy about, it's got to be passion. I got to be excited about what I'm doing. If I'm not excited about it, you could push me off a mountain and it ain't going to happen. And for me, it's about living with passion, learning, loving, and leading. And that's what it's about. Everything I do, Passion feeds my soul. I have to feel it, taste it, touch it. And that passion goes out into the universe. It goes out to our team. And also that's the culture of our organization. It's about the passion that we build. And through that passion, we build action. The second point is don't wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Believe me, there is no perfect moment in life. It just doesn't happen like that. I love when people say, well, I'm waiting. I've seen guys sit around and wait. I just spoke to a guy the other day. We talked about the business some time back, and he's saying, well, I'm waiting. And as soon as I hear I'm waiting, it's not going to happen. And we're not going to waste time here. I'll keep him on my list. But when you start talking about waiting, okay, waiting will happen, will go on forever. Because what I learned is it's never about where, and it's never about when. It's about who makes it happen. It's about who makes it happen. And I'm looking for people who are going, I present something to them, it sounds exciting, they want to learn more, okay? They're going into the funnel, okay? And I provide them with information, then it comes to a logical conclusion, okay? We're moving forward, this is what we're doing, they're excited. Or they go into the next part, because I'm not going to sit there and waste a lot of time with this column of people. I'm just going to keep feeding them information, touching base with them, asking them if I can stay in touch with them, and so forth. We look for people who want our time and deserve it. So that's the second point. The third is building strong shoulders. We talk about this a lot. Broad leadership shoulders to be able to handle the challenges and become solution-oriented, because that's how you build leverage. You point people to the direction of finding the solution for them. Whether it's even a question that comes up, if I sit there and I am the guy that directs everybody to where to go, I will never build leverage. I will always have to be the person that's directing people. I will always have to be the one that calls the company if there's an issue, for them. I give them the phone number. This is who you need to call. Talk to them. That's how you keep your time focused on revenue producing activities and you don't get caught up in non-productive stuff. The fourth one is you got to make an all-in declaration. You're all in. If you're not just screaming from the rooftops in your way of acting, and you're looking at the system, and you're participating in events, and you're being at the event, and nobody has to ask Ann and David, are you coming to the convention? Really? Nobody has to ask us that. Are you going to the meeting? Really? Okay, I'm flying to events in other countries because I believe that I need to be all in. I need to show our team that we're serious about this. We're coming to support them. We're working with them. We're taking action. And then we're creating self-reliant leaders because that's our ultimate goal. Can't be the superhero, and I remember your teachings with James Campbell, who was always talking about the hero, the journey of the hero, the hero's journey. There are going to be challenges that come up. Okay, I welcome them because that means it gives us an opportunity to grow. It gives us an opportunity to overcome something. It's going to give us an opportunity to build stronger alliances. It's going to give us a chance to now grow our business in a greater direction, working together. So I love that, the hero's journey, and I've used it quite often in our teachings. Because any movie that you go to, you wouldn't go to the movie unless it was exciting. This is an exciting business, right? Okay? This is an exciting business, and people like to see people break through. Well, you know what? The breakthroughs come as a result of facing a challenge straight on and finding a solution. And then be willing to invest in yourself. You've got to be willing. We met because I wanted to go back and make some, to do some reevaluation in terms of what could I learn new in order to be able to coach my people better?
Right.
Okay, and that's how I picked the Go 90 Grow course, because I wanted to grow me. And that's how you and I met. And if you look at all the situations that come up, guys, we met through that. We became good friends. We visited out in Hawaii, and I'm now on your platform because I decided to invest in myself and make relationships and build and grow. And so the last one is you got to get a coach and a mentor. Okay. If you want to build this business and you want to build leverage, go find somebody that's done it. Okay. That could be somebody in your upline, somebody in your sideline, somebody's going to keep you accountable. And that was the other thing I so appreciated in our relationship when we were working outside of our business, but being coached by you and Daveen in terms of how to look at, what I wanted to do with my business and how I wanted to grow it. So those really are the key points that I think really will help people build leverage and will have the kind of success that will change things. Like it's changed our life from a trapped corporate executive to someone who now has an opportunity to travel the world. We're at a time in our life right now, where both of us, as I said to David, when I was 34 years old, I looked up at him and I said to him, honey, this will be our retirement future. Well, I didn't imagine 30 years would pass so quickly. And here we are with a leveraged business, and we're not sitting behind a desk working for somebody else's wealth. Can't hear you.
That passion that you talked about is so important. In ancient Greece, they didn't do eulogies. They just asked one question. Did she have passion? Did he have passion? And certainly you have passion. Two big takeaways for me. And then I'd like to hear what you want what you think are key takeaways, one or two of them. But the key takeaway, really minor thing that pays major dividends when you're on the phone or when you're with somebody, is to book the next appointment with them rather than go home and play phone tag. If it's a prospect, if it's a distributor, if it's I know I learned from you or relearned from you, when you do a home kickoff or a home presentation, you're there, you have distributors there, book 2 or 3 more, right? Exactly. And rather than go home and say, hey, try to get them on the phone. So never get off the phone or walk away from an appointment with someone without the next activity already scheduled. And Ann told you already, a lot of people, and it's happened to me just the way that you predicted it was, when you actually do that and then show up, they're almost surprised, which tells you a lot of people don't know how to properly work the business. The other thing that I thought was massive, a huge piece, is that where you broke down into 3 categories, the objective or the reason that someone really wants to do the business, what do they really want personally? Because that, I think most people when they join are so burdened with time and money problems that they don't realize what they write down as a why is to get out of debt. That's not a reason, right? That, they're really saying, I want to get back to zero. And boy, you adding that beautiful touch in there, been splitting it 3 ways. What a great takeaway. What do you want personally? What do you want to see happen financially? By getting them to talk about personally, the likelihood of them thinking beyond just getting out of debt and getting an updated car is huge, because they're not going to do it to break even. Nobody wants to do all this to break even. And of course, that leads to the global thing. And, your passion seems stronger today than ever. So you're with someone, what's, and you've sort of been through this leverage thing with them. What's the 1 or 2 things that you really want them to take away?
Well, I think, first of all, we're looking for people who want to play tennis with us. Someone once said to me, if you're looking back over 30 years, what is the biggest mistake you made? I said, wow, biggest mistake. And I sat there and I thought about it and I said, the biggest mistake I've made is spending time with the wrong people. And I wanted it so badly for them, as much as I wanted it when I first started. But, you got this, they watch the ball go by as you're playing tennis. So I always talk about, we're going to play tennis, okay? And I will hit the ball back with you for as long as you hit the ball back to me. The minute that changes, all you have to say is, I don't want to play ball anymore. But I will tell you that the longer we volley back and forth, okay, I will be able to help you to be able to create that solution that you're looking for. And it could be that they're looking for, a health solution. It could be that they're looking for a financial solution or a career change or whatever it is. But that's what I'm looking for, the people that are hitting the ball back and forth. And that's where the 20% comes into play. So those are the people I'm looking for. And the fact that leverage now allows me to move the others, okay, into other tools, other meetings, other systems. So that was my biggest lesson in building our business. And I'm so blessed with great people who were incredible partners and are incredible partners in hitting balls back and forth. Because I'm a people person. I love playing on teams.
Right. Well, you said several times, and I think it's a key point that I don't want to let slip by. You know, you talked about income producing or goal advancing activities, that's what you're focused on. And basically, if you combine, I hope you're not missing what Ian's saying here. Obviously, this is one of those videos you're going to have to watch 3 or 4 times. It's just so packed in the subtext with terrific tips. But basically what I'm hearing is, right, you know, quality time with quality people is going to produce quality results, right? So find the tennis players and stay focused on those goal advancing or income producing activities. So one last thing is, you have this 30 years of experience. Let's say you'd never done network marketing, but somehow had all this knowledge, or starting over, okay? 1 or 2 of your best do's and don'ts for people to get them out of the blocks. What are the 1 or 2 things? Because a lot of things have changed in 30 years, but human nature remains the same.
Exactly. You know,
So
there may be the tools that have changed. There may be additional technologies that we've added on, but the system and the process is the same, Mark. Whether you go back 30 years or not, you got to talk to people. You've got to present something to them, and then you've got to show them what to do. So for me, it's about the system. It's about having a system in place. And if anything, I can go back and I can say, I'm going to use the system. I use the system. You know, we created the system because of our experience in knowing that you have to have a system. If you don't have a system, then you don't have consistency. If you don't have duplication, you don't have leverage. If you don't have leverage, you don't have residual income, and you don't have the freedom. So you have to have a system. And I go back to that over and over again, go back to the system, because you know what? Brand new person is not going to hit the ball out of the park every single time when they first start. It just doesn't happen like that. You know, you have to go and you practice, you learn. You learn in our profession by doing. Okay, you can't sit there and read a manual, you know, for the next 6 months and then expect that something's going to happen. Okay, you got to give a bad presentation. As one of the guys here in our upline team says, you got to go out there and really suck at it first. He said that, and we all went, I hope we heard that correctly. But he said, you really have to suck at this first, and then you get better. Because then you also have the experience of saying, yes, you know what? I understand what you're saying, because this is what I went through too. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay, and this is the time period that it took me, and these are the challenges that I found, and I understand what you're saying. This happened to me too. So for the new person, you have to follow the system and work together with somebody who's going to show you the way, and be coachable. You know, I would be the most coachable person if I was just starting today, because I want to hit it running. So tell me what to do, show me what to do, what's the system, what do I have to need to do, and I will meet you. I will be there. I will be on time. I will be on that phone call. You know, if you say 7 o'clock, I will be there at 7 o'clock. You can count on it, because I respect your time. I can't hear you.
Every time we get a chance to work together, you know, sometimes things happen in your mind and they're not quite as good as you remember them. And every once in a while, just the opposite happens. People are even better. And just to be around you again, and your energy and your passion, that it's still there. And as you like to say, I learned this from you, the proof is in the printout. You can tell me all you want, but the proof is in the printout. Usually Davine will text me 2 or 3 times during something, letting me know, input, whatever. I got 7 texts from her. You're killing me. She's hilarious. She's fantastic. This is incredible. We love you. Thank you so much for taking so much time out of your day, and your 5 little Yorkies, and David too. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I love you guys too very much. You opened our eyes to a lot of wonderful, wonderful teachings and principles that will forever hold close to us. So I appreciate this opportunity to get together with you as well.
Well, the link is down there. Let me get this right. It is, because I was just there about a day ago, but it's skillsetsforsuccess.com. You can find out a lot more about Ann. There's some great material there. And of course, grab the download so that you can get leverage, which is the point of the business. Peace be the journey. Aloha. Can't wait to see you again. And we have a little area for that little thing that you and I haven't given up yet, where we can go out and be in peace. Thank you. Peace. Good, Davey?
Excellent. Perfect.
You're fantastic. 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 So we'll get this up. We'll be launching it sometime in July. We'll get you some information at the end of June. If you want to earn some money with it, great. If you don't, great. That's fine. It's an affiliate link, and you can use it if you want. But you'll also know when yours is going up to get your team over there, and you'll be very well informed about it. So grateful. You look great in red.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really wanted to put this together because I remember how much having an action guide coming from you every week was meaningful to me. So
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. We'll give it to them, and we'll keep your link in there. We'll make it live so they can get right to your site. We want you to get opt-ins, exposure, leads, and business. So who was it? Randy that came to your house?
Oh yeah. Can you imagine? Randy. I didn't want to get into names because, again, just trying to stay focused. But yeah, I'm coming to your house. When we first started Fusion back in January of 2016, because we migrated out
of Agile,
the 5th of 2015. So we've just finished this big event down in Florida. He says, I'm coming to your house in 2 weeks. What's better, Tuesday night or Wednesday night? I'm coming to do a presentation at your house. I want you to do a home meeting. Oh my God, I called everybody I could think of. I mean, I've done things that I never imagined I would do. Bringing people, talking to people. I flew a girlfriend up from Florida, okay, because one of my team leaders from Florida personally flew her up here to be here. Number one, because she has contacts. She's from Philly area. And number two, because I wanted to make such a a big push here in the house, and I had people bringing people and so forth. So, it's the truth. You have to do these things yourself. Yeah,
you do. You got to lead by example, and you do. I think I'd like to meet him sometime if that's possible.
Sure.
He's really busy, but I'd like to tell you. And I watched several of his Periscope things, and he seems like an interesting guy. You guys have been together for a while.
Yeah, we've been together. Well, certainly I've known Randy from the days with Sunrider. And then we broke apart because he went another direction, and we stayed, contacted in different ways. And then when we all came together in Agile, so it's been 12 years now, 13 years.
Yeah. He seems like an interesting guy.
He's definitely a wild card.
Yeah. Seems like it. Thank you so much.
All right, Davine, everything good?
Perfect. Thank you. It's great to see you.
All right, guys. Love you.
Ciao. Love you too.
Ciao.
Ciao.
We're still recording.